Hey there, everyone, it's Dr. Barden. Today I'm just going to be going over some of the basics of social media and how you can be utilizing that for your music industry, personal business, your image, whatever you want to do personally. It's kind of a nice little intro to social media in general. So I'm just going to jump right into it. So, first things first, what is it? Well, I have my opinion right there. It's a bit of a mistake, I think. Jokes aside, though, I am personally taking a little social media break, but um, what it really is just a way for people to share information and content with others and interact with them on that platform. So pretty much all of them have in common way for you to make an account, post that content, and interact with others with it. Like I said, whether that be comments, sharing, messages, or whatever it is, you have your personal account and you can interact with others on a specific platform. That is at its core what social media is. There are different platforms for different kinds of content, and we'll go through those in just a little bit of that. But just in the terms of computer and internet history, prior to the starting up of social media, I'd say kind of in the late 2000s, getting into the early 2010s is when it really was starting to take off. People before that would make personal websites or have their own blogs, things like that. So we'll look at that actually on the very next slide in a little more detail, the kinds of things they use. But before social media, people still interacted with others using the internet. And before the internet, you'd go and do things, in person, off that. So it's been a big part of human history in some form for a very long time. But like I said, before they took off, you would interact with people in a few ways. And I've listed what I felt were kind of the most common ones that I personally ran into, that being like personal blogs and personal web pages, chat rooms, forums, things like that. So with a personal blog or a web page, it's basically just making your own website and putting whatever you want on it. People would come check it out. Back when there wasn't a whole lot on the internet for a lot of people to do, that was about it. It was just go check out people's websites, and that was about it. Chat rooms would let you go and chat and talk with people, whether that be kind of a one-on-one thing or a more broad instance where a bunch of people can log on and everyone's talking and chatting in a shared environment. And then forums are kind of in between those two, I guess, where you would have a like a thread or a topic, and you would post to that and kind of do responses, things. That's probably the most common thing that's still around today, that at least that I regularly see and interact with. These forums, whether that be for help in a certain software platform or websites like 4chan or things like that. You can just go in and there's a thread or a topic, and anyone can come in and post to that and respond to it, but it's not immediate like a chat room would be. A lot of those, again, not all of them, but particularly the older ones and those like personal blogs and web pages, they're kind of taken down or have been updated to be more modern. So you can't really find them in their old versions. Again, some of those forums and chat rooms, they're still pretty old school. And back in the day, it was mostly text-based stuff, partly and largely partly because just the lack of internet speed and data hosting. Like, it's much cheaper and easier to put text online and download that every time you go to the website, instead of putting up large videos and photos. That wouldn't come until a little bit later. All right, so I skipped a slide. Nowadays, there's a ton of different platforms for different things. I've listed a handful of some of the more common ones. There's definitely many more. This is not an exhaustive list by any means, but things like X, Facebook, Instagram. I'm really just going to read this list: Snapchat, Tumblr, TikTok, Blue Sky, Reddit, YouTube, LinkedIn, Discord. These are, again, very different from each other, but they all have those core features of you go on, you make an account that is tied to you, and you go and you interact with people or media in different ways on that platform. So usually, your Reddit account doesn't transfer directly to your TikTok or your Discord to your LinkedIn. You could potentially use the same usernames if they're available and the same email addresses, things like that, but it doesn't like they don't sync together in that way. So these next few slides, I'm just kind of breaking down that bigger list into kind of more broadly where they're focused on and how you interact with them. Some of the more traditionally text-based platforms, this would be where you would, post and share text. A tweet would be, just a few characters they've gotten bigger since then, but just little short text blurbs, things of that nature, and people again could respond and comment and share. As time has gone on, these encompass many other things. It's not just text. Like you can share photos and videos and links, and you've been able to do that for a really long time, really. So I'm just trying to like broadly categorize this. It's not only text. Just want to make that part clear. Okay. Things that are a little more image, video based. That would be something more like Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, YouTube, where again you're primarily interacting with videos and images, and not blog posts and texts and things like that. It's like on Snapchat, you're usually sending pictures of stuff to people, or you're posting videos on YouTube or TikTok, video pictures on Instagram, that kind of thing. But you can still interact with text. It's very nebulous nowadays, but broadly speaking, all of these have a focus of some sort. And then I've got these blog-like ones as well, just because I wanted to mention, some other stuff, things like Tumblr. If I think MySpace is still technically online, Pinterest, things like that. Did I spell that right? I don't know. That's what the autocorrect wanted to do, but these are again where you can kind of just put whatever you want. It's more like your personal blog in that nature. It kind of harkens back to those older styles. So if you want to, go check out any of those, like you can literally just type the name of the platform into Google. It'll bring you right to the website for that. I don't have all the logos and things. I think most people know what these are. I guess I'll briefly go through what they are just for anyone who doesn't, in the sake of, having that there. So X used to be Twitter before Elon Musk bought it and changed it up. Again, you can still share little short blurbs, things like that. It's got a fairly large user base, so you can reach a lot of people for that. Facebook used to be like the big one. It's kind of died off a little bit. You can still do a lot of things with it. I think the user base is generally a little bit older, but it's more text based. You can share photos, pictures, videos. It just kind of does a little bit of everything, really. Instagram is actually Instagram and Facebook are all owned by the same people, so those integrate fairly well, but that's mainly for pictures and short videos, things like that. Again, you can post it, other people can like and share and comment, things like that. Snapchat, you can post things to a bunch of followers or send direct messages, mainly with pictures. Tumblr is more of like a blog space where you can just share things that you like. TikTok, short little videos and remixes, things like that. Blue Sky is basically like Twitter, but it was made to basically be Twitter without the gross political stuff that can usually pop up there. Reddit is more of a forum-based site, but it's at least originally its whole thing was that you're very free speech oriented. You kind of post whatever you want there, whether that's a good thing or not. You'll have to go on the Reddit and decide. YouTube, you're probably watching this video on YouTube, but you can post videos. People can comment on them, share them. That's pretty much what it is there. LinkedIn, I've always viewed LinkedIn as like Facebook, but specifically for work professionals. Like it's more geared towards, hey, here's my resume. Let me, help me get a job. Reaching out, interacting with companies, things like that. It's much less fun than some of the other platforms. It's very like professional world oriented. Discord again is mainly a messaging platform. You make your little servers and post things and chat with people. And that's the end of my list here. Again, there's way more. I'm not trying to make an exhaustive list, just show a few of the categories and some of the more popular ones that you might probably be familiar with already. Okay. So hopping on to the next chunk of slides here. I do want to talk about the difference between personal accounts and professional accounts, because then you have to make an account for these web pages, and most of them that you'll run into are personal accounts. That's the account that's tied to you as well, a person. It's your own individual thing, and it's you share things from your personal life here. So these are usually much smaller accounts or channels or however profiles, whatever it is on that platform. The name kind of changes. They're very rarely monetized. Sometimes they're even just set to private. So, you only are seeing and interacting with people that you know and you interact with. And I call them fairly eclectic, meaning that, you can post whatever you want to it. Like there's no real theme. Maybe one day you've got your vacation photos, and then here's some cool memes and a link to a song you wrote, or, uh, you posted happy birthday to grandma. So, it can be all kinds of stuff. It's just part of your personal life. That's very different from a professional account, which is focused on a business. And in the course of this class, when we're thinking business, we're thinking like your music industry business, you like as an artist, or the company wanting to, that's backing you, maybe the record labels, things like that. The goal of these accounts is to reach as many people as possible and be seen by as many people, and just grow as much as it can. These can potentially be monetized and have ways of bringing in money just from that social media account. All the things that they post are usually very focused, with a specific goal in mind. Now they can still vary. It can be different series of posts. Maybe for every week this month we're sharing a new thing. I don't know. I didn't think of that example beforehand, but it could change from month to month, or maybe you're on. It's a Instagram account, so it's only showing images of the food at this restaurant, or just the studio session pictures for a recording. A recording studio company. It's very focused, with the goal of, again, driving that engagement, getting people to see and interact with the business. In the case of you watching this, most likely the goal is to get people to check out your music, things like that. This is also where content creators tend to fall. A lot of content creators, they'll start off with personal accounts that then get really big, and then those basically turn into those professional accounts. So you may see them change, or like maybe one goes private and official one comes out, things like that. So again, it can be a little nebulous, but usually there's a very distinct differences between the two types of accounts there. So next, I want to talk about what can you post on social media, and technically you can post anything. Like in the United States, as long as you're not violating the terms of service for the platform you're posting on, and not really breaking the law in any way, you can post whatever you want. Again, within reason, and I'm talking like legally here. I've got a example of a post that was put on the internet a while back. This is not a new thing anymore. But this person decided to, we're going to step in some of the Burger King lettuce here and post that on the social media. They ended up getting doxxed and basically got fired from their job, because they were like, "Hey, manager at this Burger King, look what your employee did." You can still get in trouble for things that you post online. It may not be legal trouble, but there can still be consequences. So again, it may be funny, it may get a bunch of clicks, a bunch of likes, get a little bit of clout, become a meme. I don't know, that's cool, but it can still have long reaching effects online. So again, and the reason for that is because basically everyone can access social media. That's kind of the social part of it. So it's always worth just being mindful and thinking about what you're going to post. Like, think, is there, could this become a problem down the line? Because once it's posted online in some way or form, it's pretty much always going to be there. One thing that is always worth remembering is that it's very common when you apply for a job, for the people that you're applying to just do a quick little Google search for your name, or see where you pop up on certain social media platforms, and just see what you're posting. If they don't like what they see and what they're posting, they're probably not going to hire you. And that's just the reality of it. I'm not going to play the video here, but the one that comes to mind whenever I think of that is a person named previously named Jed Sanderson. They were a mod for the game Old School RuneScape made by Jagex, and they did a whole bunch of illegal stuff, breaking into account, hacking into accounts, stealing things, worth like 250 plus $1,000 of money in the real world. It was a whole ordeal, big problems. They got fired, all that, many lawsuits, all that kind of stuff. But basically, they had to go and change their name because if in any point trying to apply for jobs, if you just searched up their name, you just get tons of the bad press about all the things they did. So they could not get another job in the tech space in pretty much any way, or I'd be surprised if pretty much anywhere if they searched for it. So again, that can be a problem. Name changes can be expensive. And now that I do want to stress, that wasn't necessarily being because they posted about it on social media. I do want to clarify that before I move on. That's just because it was out there. It was on news articles shared on social media. It's just all over the internet. I would hope that most people that I'm teaching this class to that are in it aren't going to be doing tons of massively illegal things. That's what blows them up and gets them all over the internet is for breaking the law. But it's the same kind of concept of, they search for you specifically. They'll see what you've been posting. And if that's, it could be something illegal. It could be just something that the company doesn't like, or who knows what, then, you're probably not going to get a job if they don't like it. So just always try to think a little down the line, what could this be a problem from there? So definitely don't post your stuff. I'm moving on to these next dots here, bullet points. Just a few other things to think about. I skipped one there. But when it comes to like law enforcement and legal things, most of those social media companies, they'll comply with law enforcement if it comes to that, because they don't want to be the ones getting in trouble or obstructing justice. I'm putting a emphasis on most. Some of them are different and more I'll say protective than others. But again, if you are posting yourself doing illegal things and it's public for everyone to see, that becomes public record. Everyone can see it. It's very hard to make a case against yourself when you have posted the proof online. And I don't have a specific example there. You can just Google it to find tons of them. That there's lots of what I call the idiot criminals who got caught doing a criminal thing because they needed to brag about it or post about it in some way because they needed that attention, where they probably would have gotten away with it. And I'm thinking, I forget their names because they're not worth remembering their names. Or like, I know like some financial crimes, or like they got people hacked and stole money, that kind of stuff. And then they bragged about it on social media, and then they, that got them caught, and then they went to jail. So again, just be careful about what you post. Think about it. It can have long-reaching ramifications down the line. So let's talk a little bit more about the professional accounts, what kind of goes into that, and focus on that going forward from here. Now we've got a base understanding of what social media is, some of the stuff that, probably a bad idea to get posted. But on the professional side of things, this is stuff, it's related to the image of the business. What do they, how does the business want to advertise and promote itself? Again, it wants to be shown to as many people as possible, but what does it want to be shown as? If you're in the music business, this might be, sharing your music videos on YouTube, getting your concert information out there, live streams of whatever could be, I'll say just, gigs and performances and things on Twitch, that kind of stuff. You want to tailor what you're posting to that specific platform and the audience that you want the fan base to see. So, again, if you want people to come out to your concerts, you want to post a lot of information about your concerts. Maybe you can tailor that, say we want to, post more in these areas or on these websites. Maybe there's a special promotion or a contest designed to drive that engagement. It's all going towards that goal of promoting the business, and that business being you to get as front of as many people as possible. So, what information do you want your fan base to know? That's something that you could get out there. I'm going to go back to, you've got your concert coming up. You want people to see it, post about the concert. Uh, Another thing that's very common, and I'll say this can be really anywhere, but the stereotypical ones you'll see it be like a Facebook page or a LinkedIn account. But you can find versions of this on all the platforms. Just the professional contact information. If someone wants to reach out to you or your manager or the team of people at your record label, however, to either to hire you or to like license stuff, or for whatever reason, having some kind of professional contact information is very, very helpful. Again, a lot of things that creators like, particularly nowadays, and particularly like smaller creators, they like to have that direct one-on-one contact with their fan base. So if there's ways for them to reach out to you and get responses, that's really a good thing. So having that there, again, whether it's a place for them to send emails to, or someone who can direct message back and forth, or even if it's you specifically doing it, being able to reach out to you through the social media part, again, it's that social side of it, is a very good thing in most cases. So that's something you'll see on a lot of different platforms. And this is not an exhaustive list. There's tons of other things, but in my experiences and opinions, that's what I find to be kind of the most broad, common, and usually most important things there. Okay, a little bit more on that. Again, I mentioned this before, but with these professional social media accounts, the goal is to get as big as possible. All right, this kind of in line with content creators. Again, you just want to have as wide of a reach as possible, get as many people checking it out. And this can lead to targeting specific posts for certain demographics. Maybe maybe your music is really big with you know females in their 30s in Germany. And I'm picking random places, so you can target your posts over, to those demographics specifically, or wherever it might be. Maybe you get really good hits on your music videos, but less so on your tweets. Well, put more into the music videos and get those shared around. Again, focus on those specific areas to grow that engagement and kind of lock in your identity as an artist, and again as a business. A lot of teams or a lot of companies have teams of people that are designed to handle all of the social media. So whether that be a big corporation having a social media team that handles everything they post, or if it's a record label or a publishing company that is handling promoting your stuff as an artist, there's usually multiple people involved deciding, hey, what would be the good thing to post, when, where, the specifics of it. There's tons of science that I'm not an expert on in any way, but they go into driving that engagement as much as they can, making sure that everything fits the specific image they're trying to cultivate there. It could also just be a one-person job. Again, if you're starting out, you're small, handling your own stuff, it could just be you doing it. That is kind of one of the perks of signing with a big company, is that they'll have those dedicated people. But it's not always the case that everyone has that. So one thing you can also do is to actually invest money in your social media presence, whether that be paying to get your stuff bumped to the top of search engines like Google, or promoting things on the platform itself. It could be, on the web page, there's ads and you get a little, actually, I'm going to the next one there, but I lost my train of thought because I got ahead of myself. You could pay to have the stuff added to Google. You could, and like boost it higher in the search results. You could have certain posts promoted. You could, again, send out certain tweets to certain, social media or news sites, depending on how big you are and what they are, to get those shared around. There's all kinds of ways that you can drive that engagement with financial contribution. Again, it does cost money. I'm actually going to skip past my next bullet to the last one because it's a little more related to that. I'll reorder these at some point. That could also qualify as, buying a bunch of fake subscribers or fake views and things like that. There's a ton of platforms out there that advertise this service. It's usually not illegal to do, but at the best, it's really, really scummy. Let's say, for example, you've got an account on, let's say that you go and you make a whole bunch of YouTube videos, and you pay for a bunch of fake views on those videos, and you get a cut of that monetizing money from all the ads that play in it. But if no one's actually watching it, you're basically just kind of stealing that money. I don't feel bad for the companies, but that's kind of on the legal side where that's coming from. But maybe you get all of a sudden 1 million subscribers, or several 100,000 people in your Discord server. That's a little disingenuous. It's a little misleading. It makes you seem bigger and more relevant than you really are. And then people kind of look into that. They realize, oh, you've got 14 million views and only 300 subscribers. That's fairly obvious that you have fake stuff going on. So that kind of leads to the wondering of, well, why do you need the fake stuff? And all of that. So again, it's scummy at best and can be misleading and misrepresenting what you're posting and how popular it is at worst. I'm thinking specifically, I forget the company's name, but they're no longer in business. It was like a company that ended up going bankrupt, but they had tons of fake reviews on their website for the products, things like that. Those services, again, it's technically not illegal, but it misrepresents what you're doing. And in some cases, it can violate the terms of service on that platform and get your stuff taken down or the account banned. It can lead to issues, but it's usually not a legal issue. It's just, again, I think it's pretty scummy. Okay, so again, this is just a little overview of what social media is, some of the different platforms, what kind of stuff gets posted, what you should and shouldn't post. We'll have a follow-up to this where we'll start making some social media accounts, or planning what you would post, and kind of starting to drive that interaction for the people in the class wanting to build that up. But for the end of this one, I do have a little exercise. I'm not going to go through it all in real time here in the video, but in the classroom, I'm going to put a whole bunch of examples of things that could be posted to social media, and have us kind of discuss as a class what would you post, and where and why, or why wouldn't you post it, things like that. That's what's most of on the next slide. If you're watching this and you're one of my students, at some point, maybe you weren't in class on the day we did this. This is where you can access that and email me, hey, I was absent here. Here's my answers to this. That'll get you the credit for that assignment. But I'm at least going to go through it at the very end, just as a way for you to discuss it. So again, we'll be planning, hey, we've got a whole bunch of bullet points here. And, if you were to post this on social media, what platform would you post it on to get the best, the most proper engagement there? And would it be best for a personal account or a professional account? And again, this could be a mix of both of those. It could be neither. It could be something you just don't want to post. It could go on multiple platforms. I kind of made them a little vague just to, again, drive some discussion and see what we decided in the class. So I'm just going to read through them, see what you might think. So again, your photos from your family vacation, that's probably going to go on a different spot than the dates for your next live performance, or the cover art for your most recent album that you made. If you wanted to live stream yourself robbing an ATM, you could decide where you would want to post that, and where your opinions on the dinner at a new restaurant that you tried. Again, that would all probably be a little bit different than you being really bad at a video game and streaming that. If you made a video essay denouncing someone for stealing your copyright and how you're going to take them to court, that's probably going to be very different than if you wanted to share an adult tape of some kind online. Or again, if you wanted to update the world that, hey, you've got a new record label for this upcoming album, that's going to be pretty different than talking about your trip to Disney World or a remix that you made. So again, that's going to be some in-class discussion. If you're not in class, the kind of assignment would be to email me your answers to these questions. So that's the end of my little short video there. Hopefully this is just, again, a nice little overview of what we've kind of talked about, the basics of what social media is, some of the platforms and what gets posted on there, and why you might or might not want to post certain things. We'll have a follow-up to this in a few weeks. I'm kind of saving the social media stuff for short weeks, just because a lot of people know what social media is nowadays, and the broad strokes of what you should and shouldn't do. So whenever we have a short week, I'll kind of throw out a little lesson on this, and we'll kind of, again, lead in towards making more professional social media accounts and getting that shared with people, and building that up, because the more that you build it up, the more that it grows long term. That'll help you get those record deals, and just help you, again, in the long run of your career. So that's all I've got. I hope you have a great rest of your day.